my sisters and brothers. Thank you for joining us on Movement Es Medicina SuperMarkRock Podcast. I am SuperMarkRock, aka Dr. Mark A. López. Movement Es Medicina is just that, a movimiento, a movement. I am aiming to motivate gente, the people, the community, to build healthy habits and rituals by speaking to me, gente, specifically my A1s, my hermanas y hermanos, my dope, educated individuals, and specifically exploring their active lifestyle and mental well-being strategies to recognize our collective dopeness in the process. Speaking of dope, educated individuals, I am joined by mi hermana, Nery Martinez. Welcome, hermana. Welcome. Thank you for being with us, aka a storyteller extraordinaire, aka a chingona mommy, aka a chingona business owner, a dope wife and partner. Welcome, mi hermana, a dope, educated individual. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Wow. And that intro was lifted me up.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's right. That's right. It's the truth. I'm just speaking truth. I'm just putting it out there, speaking truth. We've been connected for a minute and just big fan of what you're doing over there with the Healing Tree. And as a partner, as a mom, as a parent, you're doing the damn thing. But before we get into that, please share with our listeners, our viewers, who is Nery Martinez? Share with us your story, sis. Share with us.
Yeah. So I am Nereida or Nettie. And I am a mom. I am a mom of two wild little children that teach me every day to connect to my inner child and not take life so seriously, which is funny because last night I literally did a story about growing up and how my children teach me that. So I'm like, how funny, first full circle moment. But yes, I am a mother, and I say that I lead with that first because it was after I became a mother that I really found my own purpose, and I had my own rebirth when my children were born of who I am and who I want to be and who I don't want to be, you know.
Mm.
So yes, I am a mother, and that always does come first, whether you like it or not. That comes first.
See.
And I am a wife and partner to Angel, who was also on the show. And we both have had this wild journey of finding ourselves in a place that we never thought we would be. And yet, the more that time goes, we realize, well, this is why exactly it had to be us. And we are owners of the Healing Tree Collective, and it is a wellness space that truly wellness holistic space that pretty much kind of covers everything under one roof to really take care of your mind, body, spirit. And that has been quite a journey for us as humans, for us as a married couple, as business owners, all of the above. And I am also a storyteller. I Of course, that also fell into my lap after I became a mom, and that's a wild story.
Yes.
But I truly have found such a love and passion for it, and I desire to do more and more of it. And it's really bringing back the old school, basically oral storytelling of
That's right.
passing down through stories, whether it is, folk tales or it's personal stories. But that's how back, before we had anything, that's how anything was passed down. And I really enjoy sharing real personal stories of real life lessons and healing and humanity. And I have in the last year have played more and more with traditional folktales, specifically Mexican folktales, because that's something I never heard, and I want to pass that down to my children. So that's always fun, and learning, like constantly learning and evolving as a person through storytelling. And then another thing that I'm really passionate about, that I love, that I will be talking about later today, because we're talking about movement, is a practice that I began myself and then later became certified as a teacher, and it's called Ishtara. And it's a practice that has taught me movement in a completely different way than I ever would have imagined it to be. And in a nutshell, it has taught me more about who I am to my core than anything else has. And I like to say that when your body speaks to you and tells you who you are, no one else can tell you anything else, because now you've known your own truth. And that has been incredibly life-changing for me. So I'm mentioning that because I think it's going to be relevant today.
That's right. Absolutely. We're going to go there. We're going to go there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that about you, not only how quote unquote this fell into your lap. I don't believe it did. I believe the universe, the creator, our ancestors gifted you all with this beautiful space.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in a previous episode with your significant other, your husband and partner, but I definitely want to hear your side as well, because I know in real time it felt that way, that you're like, oh
yeah,
it's here, it's in our lap.
Yeah.
But y'all are thriving, and of course we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to give you a few more flowers. What I know about you personally that you didn't share, that you are a fellow Arizona State University Sun Devil.
I
am. You are. Like your boo, Angel, you are continuously creating content and sharing your journey. Yes, you all have the space collectively. You all are parents together, but you also have a persona that you share in your journey. And I love that about you, what you're sharing with the world. You possess a passion for learning, for cultura, and uplifting gente. I love that about you as well. That's something that I don't think you speak to enough, but it's to me, it's a given. And I see that what you're doing, both again collectively, but also for you in your individual space. And you're passionate about mental and physical health. Like, as you mentioned, the movements piece, but you're in this space for a reason, for a purpose, and y'all are doing the damn thing. And lastly, the flowers I want to give you is that you're constantly challenging yourself personally and professionally. You're just in this, you and Angel are in this constant growth mindset. And I love that you're always trying to get better. You're trying to grow. You're trying to evolve, both as parents, as individuals, as business owners, but also as movement and wellness enthusiasts. That I just absolutely love that about the both of you and your journey. So before we get into the formal conversation, because we got a lot to talk about, as you can see, listeners, viewers, we got a lot to talk about this afternoon. I want to jump into a few lightning round questions. I want our audience, our viewers, our listeners to get to connect with you on a personal level. So I don't want you to think about this too much. Okay. Your boo, Angel, he went in and on and on and on about lightning round. I'm like, bro, they're lightning round. Just come on, get them out.
Okay, I got it.
So whatever comes to mind, I'm talking shit about him, just talking shit. But
yes,
he got it. He did it well. So whatever comes to mind, okay? Whatever comes to mind, just spit it out. Cool?
Okay.
All right. Lisa, here we go. How many tattoos do you have?
I'm gonna say 10. I don't know.
Well, okay, what's your favorite tattoo?
Oh man. I'm gonna go back to my very first one that I ever got. And it's a quote, or I don't know if it's a quote. I made it. I don't know. It's my quote. It says, "Don't forget to love yourself," and then it has a dragonfly next to it. And I always say that now my tattoos are way more meaningful than before. And now that has become so clear to me why I was drawn to that. And the dragonfly continues to come to me to remind me that I am resilient. And yeah, so I'm going to say that one.
Love it. What's your favorite hobby?
Ooh, I love to read in silence, preferably, and in isolation.
Okay. Your go-to music when you need to get hyped.
Oh, so I don't know a lot about artists. I'm very much like I want to just listen, and like I don't want to memorize a song title or an artist, but it's kind of like style like Eminem. Like I just want to like like get in
there. Yes. That genre is called hip hop. Maybe
I guess I never saw myself as, but yeah, I think you're right, Mark. Thank you for that.
Okay. Your favorite food? What is your favorite food?
Tacos. Carne asada tacos.
All right. Carne asada tacos. Yes. Your go-to vacation spot. If you had a choice, what's your go-to vacation spot?
A beach, anywhere there's a beach.
Anywhere's the beach. Okay. Who's the better cook? You're on it. Better cook.
Uncle, hands down.
All right. All right. Your favorite movie of all time?
I'm gonna say My Girl.
My Girl. All right. All right. And last. Your next tattoo you're gonna get.
Oh, so I have this naked woman on my leg, and I
Okay.
didn't think about this until after I had kids. And I often have to wear, like, I can't show her because I'm around, parks and children, and I want to be respectful. So I'm considering turning her into like Dia de los Muertos and like
Okay.
putting like a sarape on her. So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see what she looks like later.
All right. All right. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity for our listeners, for our viewers, to get to know you a bit, to feel your love for hip hop and connect with some of your interests. I love it. No, thank you for your
Thank
honesty,
you.
transparency, and indulging me with that lightning round. So let's get into this conversation around Movement Es Medicina and all things wellness. So let's start with the Ishtara piece, because as we began to speak about this space, as you mentioned, fell into your all's lap. You and I had it fell into your lap, and as I mentioned, that I don't believe it did. I believe that wholeheartedly that this came to you all for a purpose. And you specifically spoke to this methodology, this modality, this modality of wellness. Tell us about that. Ishtara, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Yeah, please.
Ishtara. Yeah, so I feel like from the very beginning, it started to teach me like exactly what you said. You are so right in that nothing really does fall into our laps. 100%, although literally it does feel like that way. So I'm so glad you put it that in those words, because it does feel like almost like you're playing hot potato and then you catch it and nobody else is going to catch it after you, and you just it's yours. And so it can feel like that at first until then you get to like see the potato and you're like, this was mine all along. I don't know why I'm running with the analogy of the hot potato, but that's where we're going. But yeah, so one of the things that I have found to be really important in that we've lost with, of course, modern times, which this is the time that we're all living in, and this is what life looks like. And that's great. And we have technology, and look how cool that you are so far away from me, and yet we feel like we're right in the same room together. And it's beautiful. And also we have lost so much of our own intuition and our inner wisdom. And that is truly what Ishtara gifted me. And I feel that I was learning it even before even knowing what it was, because I had seen a friend of mine had shared it. And this is, my dear teacher is such a humble and extraordinary woman, and it's a very small thing that she has almost built with just word of mouth, right? And so a friend of mine had shared about this class that she had taken on Facebook, and I didn't know what it was at all. I had no idea what it was, but I looked at it and I was like, I want that. I don't know what that is, but I want it. And it took, I think, almost 2 years from the day that I saw it, and I knew in me that I didn't need to, my mind didn't need to know, my body just knew it was like this magnet that I needed to do this.
Okay.
But it was an investment, and at that time I couldn't do it, and I was like, I don't know how, but like this needs to be in my life. And so it took 2 years. And after the 2 years, I started taking the classes. Mind you, I still didn't know what it was. It was so interesting. It was like I was in there and I was like, I don't really know why I'm here. But as I remember that very first class, we did this practice where we connected with our body and tried to listen to one of the needs that our body had. And I remember thinking in that moment, I was like, I just want to flow. I feel stuck and I want to flow. And I didn't know what that meant, right? But that's the only thing that I could say. And without getting too much into detail, because man, I could talk about this forever. It's actually such a beautiful modality it's a moving meditation. And through music and getting to know your body and your personalities that your body holds, you essentially release and rewire patterns in your nervous system, because all of that is held in your body. And so there's so many things that I can talk about, and I'm trying to be mindful of which ones to nail, but um it it truly taught me how stiff, how closed, how repressed my body had been all my life. And as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
specifically, how much fear there was with giving my body freedom to move. Because there was the piece of, for the men's gaze, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this fear of like, no, you can't look sensual, you can't look sexual, none of that. So there was that fear of that. There was the other fear of just me connecting with my own body, but that was actually more shame,
Mm.
because culturally and
Right.
religion taught you to not even look, to not even touch, to, none of it, right? And yet the woman's body literally can create life. Like, that's just wild. That's just wild to me,
Yes.
that
Yes.
the sexual part of it, of our bodies and what our bodies can do, literally it's the reason why we're all alive. And yet there's so much shame around it, so it is so confusing as a woman
Right.
to say, well, here's my body and she's pretty amazing and can do amazing things, and yet I have so much fear, I have so much shame, and I am so incredibly disconnected from her. And I remember one of
Mm.
the first few classes that I had, and she had us kind of moving our hips, and I was like, oh, no, you know,
Mm.
no, because there was this fear. Again, you're taught at such a little, as like at such a young age, can't even say it, but to be that you can, you have to be almost like a performance in a sense, right? So like, you have to be well mannered, you can't
Mm-hmm.
get out of the line or look or entice anyone, so there's all these like rules and regulations over our body that is just meant to be like this primal
Yeah.
being.
Yes. Yes.
And so that was really, really shocking to me. And so that was one of the biggest pieces, along with this this inner knowing that our body knows who we are
Mm.
at our core from the minute that we come into this world, that it has not been altered by our life experiences, by our upbringing, our culture, anything. I truly believe there's a soul, there's a spirit within us, that is who we are at our core. And through this movement practice, because when you're in this moving meditation, right, it's a meditation, and you truly allow your body to speak and move the way that your body is meant to, the way that your body wants to express itself, you find things out about yourself, because you're
Right.
like, wow, I didn't
Right.
know that was in me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have all
Yeah.
this rage, like, and it feels
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or wow, being sensual and moving my body for me actually feels like joy, when I thought that was like a sin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so to rewrite like so much of that, and to get to know myself, who I'm at my core, and that anger actually fuels my passion, and that
Mm.
I can be a woman and have anger, and I can say no, and
Mm-hmm.
like all these things, it was just eye opening. And so this movement practice has also shifted even how I move when I exercise, or
Okay.
any of that. It's like, does my body feel good? Where is the limit? Like, does my
Mm-hmm.
body say no here? What
Yeah.
kind of movement do I want? Do I want slow? Do I want strength? Because my body's wanting that feeling of, I want to feel strong. It's just this whole connection to our body that we don't have, because
Mm.
unfortunately nowadays we're just go, 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 or we're being directed by these screens, always asking so much of us, and
Right.
there isn't enough time to either pause or to literally sit with your body and move in whatever way you want, without judgment, without criticism, all of that. And
Yeah.
it was this major, major rewiring. But I truly now come back to my body all the time. Like, when you're about to do something, and even after I agree to do something and I didn't really want to do it, there's always learning, right? But even after, even that's such a great teacher, right? Because then you're like, ooh, I feel like this, like, ugh, in my gut. And I'm
Right.
like, I should not have said yes to that, you know? So, like, little things like that, which, by the way, as a woman, it's so interesting because we're taught at a young age not to be angry, right? Like you
Mm.
can't be angry. You got to smile. Calladita te ves más bonita, like all the
Yep,
things,
yep,
right?
yep.
And anger is what tells us what we will not tolerate.
Mm.
Anger gives us permission to say no, to set boundaries.
Right.
And so at a young age, we're told, you don't get to do that. You don't get to have that. Sorry, because you're a girl, you don't get to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
to learn that later as an adult and say, oh my gosh, I can do this. And to think, like, wow, that was taken from me at such a young age. It's just mind blowing. It is mind
And,
blowing.
and I want to go in so many directions with this. I
Yeah.
mean, and excuse my ignorance around Ishtara. I mean, I know you've spoken
No,
about it
no.
before in conversations. I have not gone in depth about this topic, and there's so many follow-up questions I have to this. I mean, I'm glad you found a space that you connect with first and foremost, and I appreciate you sharing some of the intricacies of it. Is it meant for men, women? Is it, or is it for, who's it for?
Yes, yeah, it's
Okay.
for everyone. There are
Okay.
certain teachers that do teach men. I
Okay.
personally, and I mean everybody, you know what I mean? Like, everybody,
Yeah.
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 I specifically teach women, and that I know I kind of was speaking a lot about women because
Yeah.
I am a woman, right? But yes, it can be
Okay.
for anyone, for anyone. Yes, absolutely.
And so with Ishtara, I know you discovered this space later, and you mentioned that you do exercise as well. So when did this wellness journey begin? Because y'all are business owners in this space, which we'll get to momentarily.
Yeah.
But when did your own wellness journey? Because it sounds like you are all in on Ishtar. You are in your soul. You are now teaching it. You are an expert in this space as well. When did this whole wellness journey begin for you?
Yeah. And do you mean like more like physical exercise or like the spiritual journey as well?
Wellness, however you want to define it,
Okay.
wellness.
Okay. So I will say, truly to use the word wellness,
Mm-hmm.
because before kids like me and Angel were working out like hardcore, we ate so clean and everything was just wow, those were the days. And that wellness didn't really mean much to me back then. I did it for the outside, like
Yep.
validation
Yep.
type of thing,
Yep.
And I mean, I did change my diet because I was having a lot of gut issues. And so, yeah, that was kind of like, oh, I got to do this because I was really getting sick. But the working out part didn't really have significance or meaning to me then, right? Um, but that was all I knew wellness to be back then was exercise, right? Like that's all I knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have children, and then it's really hard to do all those things. And then at the end of the day, it's like I just need to be fed. Like I need to eat. I'm breastfeeding. Like I will take whatever I can eat. And it was that way for a while. When I had my daughter though, and literally the moment she was born, and I looked at her, and my mom says like it was almost like I was born again because she looked like
Mm.
me. And it was really wild because, side note, none of my sisters ever had kids that looked like them. They always looked like their dads. So I was the first one that had a child that looked like the mom, not the dad. And it was really cool. And it was also bizarre to see this baby that looked like me. And I looked into her eyes, and it was such a wild experience where even from that moment, I felt like she was like this old soul, and I truly do feel
Mm.
she is, even to this day. But it was this mirror that literally held up in my held up in my face and said, "Do you want her to be raised by the woman that you are right now?"
Mm.
And it was a clear no, like absolutely not. Like I saw this reflection of the woman that I wanted to be, and I was
Mm-hmm.
not her at that moment. And she's actually the reason that that woke up within me. Two years after that from her was when actually how wild this was kind of all in the same year. It was like 2020, of course. But I sought after a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how that started for me at first. It was very much in the head at first for me.
Okay.
So she's incredible. Erica Kramer. She's a fellow Latina. She's a Puerto Rican. She's incredible, and she has a confidence program, or I should say, at that time it was a confidence group coaching program, and she
Okay.
does incredible things, and she's evolved a little bit, but I knew that something needed to change up here in the mind, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I wasn't completely. Um, I had a lot of mental health struggles. And I feel like they really woke up. They came to the surface after I
Mm-hmm.
had children. And I had like massive intrusive thoughts. I was really low all the time. And I knew that I could not be the woman that my daughter deserved. Both my children. And
Mm.
I only say my daughter because she was this mirror of a little girl, right? My little girl, right? But both, my son equally needs a strong mother in his life. So she she was the first person that taught me about mindset and what all that looked like and how to change that, and it made me realize like, wow, there's so many things that I just thought I needed to do or be without ever asking myself, is this what I want for me? And she truly, truly, absolutely changed my life so much. And so it started in the head, right?
Yeah.
And then Ishtara took me to the body.
Okay.
And so that's how
Okay.
it kind of shifted for me. And then from there, I wanted to explore everything. I went to every single modality possible, especially because at that time too, I think my daughter was like about 2, and I finally felt comfortable leaving her, for a little bit.
Okay.
And I wanted to know who I was because I didn't know who I was anymore. And the best way I feel you can do that is go do random things, like try things that you've never done before and figure out, do I like it? Do I not? Like, who am I when I go into this new environment? How hard is it for me to come out of my shell? Am I shy? Am I able to greet people? Like, all these things, it teaches us so much about ourselves.
Yeah.
So yes, so that's kind of how that evolved, and then I started doing all the really, holistic modalities of sound baths, breath work, doing more Reiki, meditation, all the things. And so I was pretty well versed in most of it by the
Mm.
time the
Yeah.
healing tree greeted us.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I did not know that. I mean, I knew y'all practice an active lifestyle prior to the Healing Tree Collective. I mean, I know Angel's background in athletics, and I knew y'all did practice active lifestyles, but I did not know that really you were engaged in it prior to being business owners in this space. And that's beautiful that you had the know-it-all. I mean, as a mother, to connect with your daughter and just have that sense of, I need to evolve. I need to continue to grow to become the woman I want her to become as well. And it's beautiful that you say this. And because they're always watching you. I know the
Yeah.
time we've spent there in your space at the Healing Tree Collective, this watching them watch you all in action. And not only seeing it in real time in person, but also through your all's content. They're there, they're around, they're watching you all do the damn thing. And it's beautiful that they see this side of you all and your authentic selves
Yeah.
every day. That yes, you're your mommy, your papi, day in, day out, but they see business owners, they see you all prioritizing health and wellness. And I mean, the fact that it's a priority, it's cultura, it's a way of life for them. Yes, it's business, of course, you all are business owners,
Yeah.
but this is their day to day. This is their world now. This
Yeah.
is, they see this, and who knows what chapters are going to unfold for them and open up for them down the road as they continue to grow and evolve themselves. But it's beautiful to see it from afar that they are in it on a day-to-day basis. They see you all doing the damn thing. And so I say that because it's a beautiful space that you all have created. I mean, I believe that you all are constantly in your wellness journeys as well. We've talked about this time and time again. And while you were in the space prior, you're in it full time now,
Yeah.
but even more so, like you said, you're constantly challenging yourself. That's one thing that I love about you, is that you're constantly evolving and trying to have this, be in this growth mindset. So as a business owner, as you and Angel own the Healing Tree Collective. Share with our listeners, share with our viewers, what is this space? What is the Healing Tree Collective?
Yeah. Yeah, I like to start by saying it's a home away from home. In fact, I used to say that. So I won't go into like the original or the whole story, I should say, but it was technically, yes, it was gifted to us by these four incredible women. And that was just wild in itself, right? Because again, we weren't looking for that. That was never in our plans, and it was just handed to us, right? But that first year that they started it, I was holding mom circles there. And
Okay.
I would go often because, again, they were my friends. And so they'd have some events. And so I'd come and I feel like I was there pretty often. And I would always say, I would joke and say, well, I didn't know it was a joke back then, but I would say it was like a home away from home. And now it's really funny because it is a home away from home. But I like to say that first because that's really, that's the biggest intention is I want somebody to walk in and immediately when they walk in, their shoulders just drop.
Mm.
And they just know I'm coming in here for me. And I'm going to have this hour or two or however long, their class or workshop or whatever it is that they're coming to is that it is just for them. And they get to close the door and everything's going to be there waiting for them. It's not going anywhere, right? But here they get to just be and they get to be present and just be with whatever it is that they want to be with. And with that said, it has evolved a little bit, but it's already been a year since we have transitioned to having our own team of practitioners and having weekly classes. Because one of the biggest things that my mind just couldn't comprehend was, there's all these beautiful modalities like sound baths, Reiki, meditation, movement, breath work, all these things, right? And in my mind, I'm like, how in the world is any of this sustainable if it's costing so much for people to go to? And I never wanted it to be like this, oh, I'm going to save up money for this once a month event. This is a practice. It's a practice. You have to be able to do it consistently. And so in my mind, I was like, because before we were renting it out all the time and there was no consistency. And so we'd have a few practitioners and then, things would shift for them and they'd be like, oh, we're not gonna, be doing this anymore. And so like, it just would break my heart when somebody would call and say, hey, when's your next breathwork session? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't have an answer for that. And it broke my heart. So one of the biggest things was I needed to have a place that was consistent, that somebody can walk in and they knew like, man, this week has been rough. I just need to go and rest for an hour and just receive like a sound bath and just meditate or sleep or whatever I need to do, And the other part with that was the affordability, where again, I'm like, why should I have to worry about saving up money to try to come to, breathwork session because I really need to breathe right now? Like it made no sense to me. So we shifted it now to have all of our classes $20 drop in no matter what modality it is, and there's a weekly, there's weekly classes. There's something that you can find all the time. And so truly at the core of it all is coming back to yourself. Because when you can be still, when you can choose to make time for yourself, you will get to come back to yourself. Because guess what? All that noise is going to shut off a little bit and you get to see like what is happening inside. How am I feeling right now? What is bothering me? What do I want more of in my life? All these little messages that are constantly actually being spoken to us from inside, but we don't hear when we're distracted by all the things, right? And so it's this opportunity to come back to yourself. And one of the biggest things that we like to mention is that it's a place of taking all the masks off where you get to play and be yourself and explore who you are. You don't have to be mom, you don't have to be dad, you don't have to be employee, you don't have to be business owner, whatever it is, like you get to just be you, and that and you were just speaking about authenticity and like our kids seeing that, and I guess if there's one thing that I would want my children to have, and I could just die happy knowing it, is that they feel free and safe to be their authentic self. because I never did growing up, and it took to my mid-30s to figure that out, and oh my gosh. I don't want anybody to have to take that long, and also I honor that, and I'm grateful that it only took until my 30s for me, because there's some people that it takes much longer, but I truly believe that when we can be so authentic and we can come back to ourselves, the answers are there. What we need to know, what we need to do next, what our heart, yearns for, it's all there. So, in a nutshell, not at all, at all. But that is what the Healing Tree Collective has evolved into being, and like you said, it was something that we didn't expect, and all, but also it was meant for us. And I always say, like, at the end of the day, like, whatever happens, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what the Healing Tree has taught us and what it has given us in lessons, in growth, I will take that any day, no matter what. All those struggles and challenges and everything that we've been through, because
Yes.
woof,
Yes.
woof, I gladly will take the lessons that have supported me in my growth and my evolution, because I am not the same person I was pre the Healing Tree.
Mm. No, I mean, and I think that's a testament to your all's, again, growth mindset, one, but how
Mm,
you all constantly are trying to evolve and become better individuals as individuals, as partners, husband and wife, as parents. You challenge yourselves, you push yourselves to grow and to create and inspire, and you're doing this in the space that you all are building, because again, like you said, I mean, you want people to feel a home away from home, to come back
yeah.
to self, and the midst of the noise, in the midst of the pendejadas, in the midst of,
Mm-hmm.
as my homie just told us the other day, all the fuckery that's happening right now in the world.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
you
How can
know.
we live with both? Because at the end of the day, like, we are living with both, and that's the other part, is this duality piece, right?
Right.
Do I? There is a space, and we all need to create that space for us to cry, for us to scream, to be
100,
angry, to
100%.
literally have those questions like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? How in the
Mm-hmm.
world am I going to continue in this world raising my children? All these things. It's like sometimes it's almost like, what's the point? I have all these dreams and goals, and then you almost want to be like, oh my gosh, but the world, there is a space and time for that. And also, there's this remembering of what it is to simply be human and enjoy life for
Yes.
what it is, right? And so how do we get to hold both? Well, I'll tell you one thing, you're not going to get it by pushing down one or the other. There's no
Right.
way, because it's going to be stuffed, and it's going to come back in other ways, that whether it's in disease or just reactiveness to the world and to people and your relationships, but that's the thing, is like, like I keep saying, at the end of the day, at the end, apparently I like to say that. So truly, truly, the core of it all, life is life. And the more that I have learned through all the modalities, through the healing tree, everything, we're not here to only be happy. We're not here to just, smooth sailing, just, just chilling. No, if we said yes to this human experience, we said yes to the whole spectrum of it all.
Right. That's
That
right.
means
That's right.
we're going to feel it all.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
tough to
we're not
swallow.
exempt.
That's tough to
Yes,
swallow. Oh my goodness. But you're absolutely correct.
it is.
We're not exempt. We're not exempt. Absolutely.
It is, and it is
Mm-hmm.
so hard. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't speak it as like, oh, I'm a pro. No, but it is something that I continue to look at over and over, that we get to, instead of like, I don't want to feel this sadness and this pain and this fear, I get to, because underneath every single emotion, there's a beautiful gift that lets us know, so then what do I want to do about it? So then how am I going to show up in my life if I'm not
Love that.
happy with this?
Mhm.
And we need all of this. And also, yes, it's hard.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah. No,
hard.
and I appreciate the reminder, Hermana, because I, I am in the camp that I am trying to practice joy on a day-to-day basis. And while I love your husband for this, because he really just dropped science on me in several years back when he talked about we are his belief and philosophy around healing, and that we are on a healing journey. Speaking of the spectrum of emotions and feelings that we go through, and I just, what are you talking about, man? No, I'm good. He's like, no, 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 no. Listen to me. Listen to me. We are the products of generational trauma, which I know, specifically as a brown man, as a Chicano living in the US, we come from generational trauma. And so that is passed on since our indigenous times, and since
Yeah.
the colonizations, since the et cetera, et cetera, that this trauma has been passed over and over, that we have having to heal from not only our own shit that we deal with, personal, relationship, professional. We are going through life, as you mentioned. And it is a part of the beauty of life. But I know I am in this state of healing. And he really educated me around this fact that it is over the course of our life that we are managing and healing from this. And so while I say all that, because again, I strive to practice joy, something that brings me joy on a day-to-day basis, because I know I need space for the pain, the trauma, the tears, the emotions that are going to help me grow and evolve and strengthen and to enjoy life to the fullest, as you mentioned, right? The full spectrum of what I need to experience this thing called life that we get one shot at. And so I say that because I believe, if I'm hearing you correctly, this is the philosophy that y'all are bringing to the Healing Tree Collective. This is the space that you are trying to build community in the greater Phoenix area, to come to the space of not only of belonging, but to live your authentic and free self, to heal, to be in community, to really, again, like you mentioned, return to self, and creating that space. And I love that you all are doing that, because it is so needed. And again, as you mentioned, in so many spaces, it's not accessible. It's not affordable. I mean, it is not. And you are meeting your community where they are at. You all have done your homework. You have done your benchmarking. You all have done your business plan, et cetera, et cetera. And you created this model to really give back and uplift communities, and that's beautiful. And I want to say this, because I want to get to you. You are a business owner. You are a teacher. You are a storyteller. You are a mommy. How do you hold it all together? You wear all these hats. How do you prioritize your mental wellness, your health, your day to day? Because like me, I mean, I'm preaching this. I mean, this is my philosophy. This is my space. The Movement Es Medicina. This is part of my business, but this is a part of your business too. Because I say all that because life is lifing, and we're managing, we're navigating, and you have all these hats you're wearing, and you're educating others. How do you do it? How do you hold it all together? How do you prioritize you?
Yeah. Yeah. It is, what's funny is that I used to think, I remember when I was breastfeeding my daughter, she was a baby. I mean, breastfed her forever, but when she was a baby and I was like sitting there, and I used to always think like, I wanted purpose. I wanted something to do. And at that time, I had absolutely no belief in myself. And so, really, truly, at that time, it was coming from this place of wanting to be seen, wanting to feel worthy, right? Is where I was going with that at that time. And I used to wish for, for me to, yeah, like have some kind of purpose and do things and, all these things, right? And then now it's just funny because I'm like, I do so many things and I want to do more, and it's just funny. It's like one of those things like, be careful what you wish for. But at that time, like I said, I have done a lot of work through that, where it was very much this it was very ego driven, right? Like I want to do something so that somebody can praise me, because I don't know how to give that to myself, and I didn't have that growing up, right? Now doing a lot of work on self-love and self-belief, and the belief one is always, of course, a work in progress. I feel like I've gotten so much better at the self-love, for sure. um it it has evolved into what is my purpose, because what am I meant to do, or what is this inner calling that's coming out of me that, like, I don't even have a choice, you know what I mean? Like, my mind doesn't even have a second to say like no, because it's in me already, right? um
Yeah.
how do I balance it all? um there I've had moments, honestly, where I've said I'm gonna just remove everything, and I'm just gonna, just think about like the one thing, I'm just gonna do one thing and that's it, and then I end up doing it all, right? um I think what I've learned to do is accept. One is accept that these are, I don't get, I'm not going to just do one thing. I'm not going to
Mm.
be put into one little box, because that's not who I am. And I like to be spontaneous. I like to do all kinds of different things. So even like with um working out, it's harder for me to do something consistently. It's been really hard. I've actually really worked through that a lot, and it's been hard to get on a consistent thing. But when
Mm.
I have something fun, something different that I get to challenge myself, like lately, my latest thing has been going to this Mexican owned Pilates studio. It's so awesome. All classes are in Spanish, and I've been doing that, and that's been exciting for me, because for me, I've learned I need that excitement. As
Yeah.
soon as I start to feel plateau, I'm like, "Bleh,"
Mm.
I fall off. So instead of judging myself and saying, "Oh my gosh, you can't get on a consistent schedule," and "Oh my God, you could have been working out all these times, and oh, you've gained weight." No, I need to work. I mean, I need to look at what works for me. And so I've learned, for me personally, it's always changing, and it will not be the same. Right now, I'm doing that Pilates studio when I can. I do my movement practice when I literally will do this. Okay. I will, if I'm having a really hard day where I can feel it, my body's gonna explode. I'm being so short and reactive to my children. It's just, I'm not a good person to be around. Why am I
Mm.
gonna just stay in that? I will literally lock myself in the room. I get the speaker and I put the music on, and I'm moving. And sometimes I'm roaring, and sometimes I'm throwing pillows. And my kids just know, like, that's what mom has to do. I'm doing that
Yes.
for me.
Yes. Yes.
So for me, it's become a very intuitive thing, that it's like, what do I need in this moment? Do I need more of this? Do I need more of that? Ideally, what I would love, and I think I would thrive on, is like once a month, do a staycation by myself.
Okay.
That is my
Yes.
ideal.
Yes.
I I learned this about myself, and I didn't know that before.
I'm texting your husband right
But
now. I'm texting
yeah,
him right now.
I didn't know this before, but you shift, and obviously you have kids, and you're like, but either way, like, it's okay to change, right? It's
Yes.
okay to change what you need more of at any time. And I've learned I need a lot of, like, alone time, a lot of alone time to recharge.
To
And I
recharge,
don't,
absolutely.
I
Yes.
don't get that often. And so it's,
Mm.
that's where it's tricky. That's where it's
Mm-hmm.
tricky.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the benefit to doing different things all the time is that I'm never really doing it all at one time. And so that's the
Yeah.
spontaneity that I like. That I'm like, I just prepared for a story that I did last night, and that was really fun. I hadn't done it in a while, and then it's like, I get this really cool idea for the healing tree. And then I'm like, so I'm kind of all over the place. So my poor husband, but that's what I need to do for me. And I just
Absolutely.
need
That's
things
right.
changing all the time. I need new things. I thank you so much for naming that. I really like to always be growing, and I have this I do. It's true. Like, I want to do different things all the time. I want to do new things, because I like to expand. I like to get to know myself in a new way that I didn't know before. So do I balance it all the time? No, I absolutely do not. But
Yes.
I try to, speaking to the joy, I try to go back to that. That's what I always go back to. What is going to bring me the most joy right now? Sometimes it's an hour meditating with a candlelight on.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's journaling, sometimes it's reading, sometimes it's going to Pilates. Like,
Yes.
whatever it is, I think that's kind of the best way that I do it, but I'm definitely not a pro at that at all. But I think acceptance for where you are, wherever you are,
That's
is
right.
so important. Otherwise, yeah, you're just gonna, like, it's gonna suck. And like, what's the point? But I do want to speak to the part that you were saying about the joy, because My mom didn't ever, say like, I'm stressed out, I'm going to go do something that brings me joy. Like, what?
No, what?
No,
Yeah, no.
entonces eres huevona. Like that's what it looks like, right? Like, oh, you're too lazy. Like, you're gonna go read a book for
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
we didn't see that growing up. And so
Mm,
again, going back to what you were saying, because I think this is so important. It's that rewiring, right? Like, how are we gonna take care of ourselves if we're so still stuck to the programming of our generations past? We're not going to be able to do that. It truly felt revolutionary for me to even do a practice where I was moving in my body, like that. Oh my God. And let's not talk about that, but we can talk about that at a different time. I don't know. That's maybe a book. I don't even know. But the trauma stored in my body from past generations,
oh
as
my.
women, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So going back to that though, I just want to speak to that because we weren't even allowed to do that, or we were not even allowed. I think we just didn't even know that was possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to catch myself many times, especially like as a parent, right? When my children are doing something and then you're like, oh, you haven't picked up and you haven't done this. Blah, blah. It's like, okay, wait, but where's the joy? Because they're children. And yes, there is a place, obviously, there's a place of, yeah, you gotta clean up after yourself. I'm not saying that, right? But it's this constant reminder of we get to still have access to it. And I truly believe that the more that we get to feel the dark emotions, right? The pain, the sadness, the fear, the shame, whatever it is, the more that we feel it and we move through that and we meet those needs of that were not met at a previous time, we get to move that stuff through our body. And guess what? That makes more room for joy. Like the more that I sit with that and I move it, because again, speaking to the practice that I do, is like I'm literally moving this in my body, then I have room for joy. But our ancestors didn't know that, and so they held it all in because they were strong and they were resilient, and it was such a powerful thing, such a powerful thing.
Mm,
I will not forget that, and I will remember that, and I have that in me always. And also for me, I like to think that the more access I have to joy, the more that I get to free my ancestors.
mm. Love that. I love
Because
that.
we're living, we're getting to live here because of them. Like, why
Because of
aren't we
them.
gonna
That's
enjoy
right.
it?
That's right. That's right. I love that. I love that. And yeah, I mean, there's a quote, and I used to have the T-shirt. I do not know what happened to it, but it said, "We are our ancestors' wildest dreams." Our
Mm,
ancestors' wildest dreams. I love that quote, and I believe that's in preparation for us becoming future ancestors, right?
yes,
That's a mindset that I really subscribe to. I want to do my damnedest to become a good future ancestor for those that are
absolutely.
coming up behind me. And I think, as you mentioned, such a critical piece is that rewiring, what you called it. And I want to bring note to that because, hermana, you all are doing it.
Mm,
You all are doing it for your babies. And I cannot emphasize that enough because you said, oh, when I need my space, I'm going to go into my space in our home, in our practice. Oh, mommy needs that's mommy's time. Déjala. She needs a moment. She needs some time. And they acknowledge that. And that's okay. They see that mommy is practicing wellness. Mommy is
yeah,
practicing what she needs so she can arrive for us as a mother, as a wife, as a partner, as a role model to them. And they acknowledge, and again, coming back to the cultura that y'all are building this way of life for them to see and acknowledge, like, that's the norm. Like,
yeah,
mommy's stepping away. Mommy doesn't need to be present all the time. Papi doesn't need to be present all the time. They are doing what they need to do for us to be better individuals. And they're recognizing that y'all are role modeling that for them. You are rewiring for them that this is a way of life for our familia. Without absolutely, you're not forgetting where you come from. You're not forgetting who you all
yeah,
are. Absolutely not. But this is your all's nucleus. This is the Martinez way now, right?
hmm,
As business owners as wellness space enthusiasts, as business owners within a wellness space. And so I say all that because you are doing the damn thing for community, but also for familia as role models, as parents to your babies. And I love that. And I strongly believe, that representation matters in these spaces.
yes,
We've talked about this time
yes,
and time again. and you all are role models for others that are coming up behind you, especially your babies, of course. But there are so far and few between brown owned wellness spaces, Latino owned
Absolutely.
wellness spaces. And as a brown man, as a
Whew.
Chicano, as an educator, as a movement enthusiast, I strongly, strongly believe that we belong in these spaces. Yoga,
Yes.
hiking, cycling, weight training, running. Yeah, we're there. We're there. But I'm sure in your business plan and development and homework, we're far and few between as owners. And again, I come back to the
Yes.
representation piece is that it's huge. It is a necessity in the wellness and fitness space. But y'all are doing it again. Y'all are role modeling in both in these spaces. How do you feel? How do you feel that your cultural background has helped you shape that as you're showing up as role models within the wellness space as parents? Y'all are emulating to others as a business owner, as a wellness space. How do you feel that your cultura, your upbringing has helped shape that
Yeah.
space for you?
Whew, that's a big one. Um, Big one because I say that when we were first given the healing tree, right? I don't think I realized it back then, but I definitely had many thoughts over and over again of who am I? Who are we to do this, right? Because you don't see brown people with wellness spaces. In fact, I feel like all that the thoughts that I had was like, ay, ¿qué es eso? Like, like, ¿quién te crees? Or, like
Mm-hmm.
things like that, right? And I feel like there was, if you want to put a word to it, I'll say imposter syndrome, right?
Right,
If you want to put a
right.
word to it. Um, Although I'm rewiring my definition around that, honestly, because I'm like, no, this is who I'm becoming, and I am not gonna, and things are hard, and you got to learn, and you got to grow, and I'm not gonna be an imposter. That's just how
Yes,
I'm seeing it
yes,
now.
yes.
Because I'm not an imposter if I'm who I am, right? But yeah, so there was so much doubt and so much, like it almost felt like, you're walking on eggshells and you're like, am I really like supposed to be here?
Mm,
And I didn't realize it, but that's what it was. Is that, you don't see people like me have
mhm,
spaces like this. And
right.
so then at first again, it's like nobody it's these things that this generational trauma. Nobody told me I was stupid growing up. Nobody said that to me. I actually I got straight A's all the damn time. And yet there was this thought, this in programming in me that I'm this like little Mexican American that doesn't know anything. Like
Mm,
no sabe nada. I can't be someone who makes money. I can't be somebody who runs a business. Like that's not me. Like I
right.
don't get to do these things you know what I mean? Like ridiculous. And it's so hard when you sit with it because you're like, what this was living in my head? Like this was dictating my thoughts and my actions, And again, we get to put that stop there, right? And we get to relearn a lot of things. So
Right.
back to your question.
That's all good.
We're
That's all
here we are, these Latinos, these, brown individuals having this space, and Angel's a little more newer, I guess, to it. So he's, learning and everything, and I've learned a lot, and we're in this space, and we're like, what are we doing? And although at the same time, like it was like perfect because when we said yes, our both of our gifts, both of our talents, both of our skills, like they came together so beautifully. Now learning how to work together, that's another journey, but we've learned a lot. But our gifts and who we are as people, like
yes,
coming
yes,
together, this was just so beautiful. And for
yes.
me, it was like, wow, like this being brown people, this is exactly why we should be in this space
Mhm.
because we get to say, hey, we are all welcome. We get to say, you look like me? Yeah, come. You don't look like me? Come. Like we're all here together because my biggest thing was I don't want it to be just one form of representation either. It's about being all of us together, all of us, everybody coming together. But the fact that I look like the way that I look like and who I am and where I came from and my cultura, all of that allows more people like me to know that they are welcome
That's right.
here.
That's right.
And that, when that sat in, it was like, oh my gosh, this is way bigger than we thought. Because again, we weren't taught to rest. We weren't taught to, yoga. No, like I don't look like that. I don't wear that clothes. Like as if that's the requirement, as if that's what yoga is, and we get to create this community of belonging, like you had said, where we all get to come together. And honestly, growing up, I was never taught about my culture. I
Mm,
wasn't spoken about it, what it means, where I came from, none of that, and so I appropriation at its finest, is that you blend in, you do what you got to do, and you're good, and like be a good citizen, and like that's
mm,
it. And it
mm,
wasn't until I came into storytelling actually that I started to ask questions, that I
right.
was like, oh my gosh, I have no stories. I have no stories of my grandparents, and I only have one grandparent left, and she has dementia. And do you know how heartbreaking that is, that I'm in this role where I could share these stories, and I'm like, fuck, I can't do it because I've lost so much,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Again, because nobody put that pride in me of where I came from. Nobody did, because we had to blend in and we couldn't cause problems, and we had to work really hard to prove that we get to be here. So I do what I can now, and I ask my parents' stories as much as I can. I
mm,
was 36 when I found out my grandparents were from the Yaqui tribe. I didn't even know that, and I'm like, oh
mm,
my god, like why? And all it took was, apa, was my grandma a part of a tribe? Like that was it. And it's just like, what? Again, it's like this lack of communication that in some Mexican households, that that was very that was a strong one, and there wasn't a lot of communication. Again, also this feeling of freedom to ask, like, where am I from, and who, all these things, right? But what I'm seeing now, especially in the wellness space more and more, and it is so, so uplifting, is this reclaiming of who we are, of where we came from. Because how insane is it that we're just going to start from when we were born and ignore, you know, all our roots,
right.
and so now we get to do this, right? And now we get to some of the stuff, yes, you can look up and you can research, and if I had my grandparents I could ask all these questions, but a lot of it I do believe is not lost, because if it's in us,
Mm-hmm,
we can still, we might not have that direct, like, oh yes, mija, this was, no, but there, I've had like meditations, beautiful. I had a breathwork session one time that, like, I saw my grandma, and she just,
mm-hmm,
like, the word I heard was medicine woman, like
mm,
we can still tap into this, like it's
mm,
not lost. And what I'm seeing is like more of this reclamation. And I pray that's what it gives everyone permission to do. We all have roots and ancestors, and they're not meant to be just erased. They are
no,
just not, because if we're still here, it is absolutely not. No, it's not. So yes,
mm-hmm,
it turned into this bigger mission, in that, like, we have to we have to stand stronger, and we have to be louder because of who we are. That's actually the most, what do I say, like, that's the mission there, to be loud, to be proud of who we are, and you know not being afraid of being seen because of who we are, not having shame because of who we are, all that stuff.
mm-hmm,
And what's really cool is that on Sunday, because I do sound baths, and I won't get into that right now about how that happened, because that was also not part of the plan, right? But I will say this part: I had a friend sign up for a sound bath. And I will say, when I first heard the call to do sound baths, one of the things that I had heard was to do it in Spanish too, right? And I
mm,
was like, okay, but I'll sit with that. And I've learned to be a good listener. And I'm like, my intuition is great, and I trust her, and I'm just gonna be guided, But on Sunday I had a sound bath, and a friend of mine came, and she brought her mom, who only spoke Spanish. And let me tell you, oh my gosh, I was playing the bowls and I had this wave of emotion. And also at the same time, I felt like this rooted, like groundedness of like my ancestors just feeling so like present with me. Holy cow. So
Mm,
what I did was I did it bilingual. I did the sound bath bilingual. And honestly, for me to see this woman, this older woman, that only spoke Spanish, and to see her come and lay here and rest for an hour, and for
mm,
me to be able to speak a language that she
absolutely.
understands and have
Absolutely.
it be so inclusive in that way, oh my gosh, I was like, this, and to just really quickly touch on this, but when I said yes to doing the sound baths, it was this true, like this feeling of a devotion and offering to the healing tree. And so when I
Yes.
was there, I was like, holy cow, this is it. Like I was like, this is it. And I just, for me, honestly, that image, it was like, this is possible. Because if one
Absolutely.
woman
Yes.
came and she came and rested, I was like, this is possible. And I literally felt like this, like almost like an earthquake, right? Like this, like
Mm,
shattering of like,
mm,
this is being done. Like
yes.
it absolutely will be possible. And holy cow, I walked out of there like, I don't even know. There's no words.
Mm, I love it. I love it. I love it. So this woman felt connected to you. You practice this modality not only in her native tongue, but I believe how powerful was it for her to experience in her native language, but to see you, Nettie, to see herself in you, that she had no idea that she needed this. As you mentioned, she did it. She devoted 1 hour of her day to be still. And the power in that's a whole other
Oh
episode, the
my
power of
God.
being still.
Yes.
Now we need to do that more often. But she
Yeah.
had this opportunity to practice this modality in her native language, to see you practicing as the practitioner, that connection that you all had. And I cannot emphasize the beauty and the power in that. And that's what I'm talking about, how strongly I believe in why representation matters, and
Yeah.
the reclaiming of these spaces that our ancestors have been practicing for generation after generation after generation, but just did not have the opportunity because of a number of factors,
Yeah.
whether it was policy, whether it was segregation, whether it was racism and oppression, a number of factors. But as you mentioned, I want to hit this point that we get to today. We are privileged. I am privileged. Let me say this. I am privileged and I own my privilege that I get to practice and be intentional about my wellness, about my fitness, about my healing journey, that I have the flexibility to do so on a day to day basis. On a day to day basis, because as I mentioned, I am striving to practice something that brings me joy every day. And that's what brings me joy, this journey of healing, this
Mm.
journey of movement, that I get to do this. I get to push myself. I get to do things that are hard, that make me feel uncomfortable, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
part of my healing. But the necessity for our community to see us in these spaces, I wish we could have had that conversation with the senora after your sound bath with, oh my
Oh,
goodness, oh my
yeah.
goodness, what could have meant.
No, and the cool part is that like I didn't even know she was coming. I had no idea. And my friend had signed up like shortly before. And so I didn't even notice, and I just saw my friend had signed up and two people were coming, and then when I saw her walk in, I'm telling you, like it was just like, "Oh my gosh." And so I sat there and I was like, "Yep, this is going to be a bilingual class." And what was beautiful is that everyone in the room, I just love that we all got to hold that space for her so that it could be a bilingual class. And I'm telling you, it literally just felt like this is it. Like this is it. And
Yes.
yeah, I cannot emphasize how like exactly what you're saying about like the privilege, right? That like I'm obviously, this is our business now. And so I'm used to it now, like going, for an hour and just, dedicating time to myself. Right. But what would I have given to see my mom do that, to see my dad do that when I was younger? So to just, like, again, to see her there, a lot of times, well, when you're a business an entrepreneur, an artist, all these things, you have to see them before they are created, right? And that is one, it's vulnerable, it's scary, all the things. Also, I wasn't taught to dream and to, do all the things that your heart desires, whatever that is. It was very much like, just go to school, go to college, because we never got to do that, find stability, just, so that you have money. Like, that was kind of like, that was it, right? Like that's the blueprint. So we weren't told as like, I literally had this one time that I was journaling and I was like, what's one thing that I wish I would have been told when I was little? And I just wrote it out, and it was, I believe in you and you can do anything that you put your heart like on, whatever it is that you put your desires on, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you can do it, just whatever you want. And I realized that, especially as an entrepreneur slash business owner, I was like, had I heard that when I was younger, do you know how like much I probably would have done quicker? And not to say that, I'm things need to be quicker, I need to rush it. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I have had to do so much work on believing in myself because of that, right? And so here we are, told to just go to school, do what you got to do, have stability in your life, and like, that's it. But what if that doesn't fit for some people? What if you want something that isn't your typical lifestyle, right? And for us, I would say Angel and I might be like kind of like the black sheep of our family, because we do all the weird things, and we do things that are not, it is not stability by any means. We take risks, and I thank him for teaching me that, because I was not a risk taker, but he went all in on his business, and I got to see on the sidelines of what that looks like, right? But we didn't get to see any of that. And so then to have to learn all this now, to have to learn, I'm gonna go take an improv class and invest in myself, because I know this is going to support my storytelling journey. And it was fun. It was so much fun. But I'm gonna do this for me. I'm gonna go to a Reiki meditation class, because I need to calm my mind. So bye. Like, I'm gonna leave, and my husband's gonna take care of the kids and dinner and put them to sleep. Like, none of this could I have ever seen when I was younger. Like, none of it, right? None of it ever. So back to circling back. When I saw her, I don't even know if I was going to originally say this, it doesn't matter, but I'm saying this now. When I saw her and I saw like that this was possible, that's what I was going to go with, is when you are a visionary, you're, again, business owner, entrepreneur, whatever, you see all these things and you want to create them, right? You have to believe it so much before you actually see it. And that takes an immense amount of self-belief in yourself. So, to my point with all of that is that when I saw her there, you can't erase what you've seen, right? It now becomes a reality. That is real. And if she was there, that means more will come. And guess what? The more and more, especially, our brown people, because my goodness, do we need to learn what rest is, That means we get to start undoing these patterns. I always say, when you come to the healing tree, it is not so that you just stay here and you learn this and the stillness is just in this room and like, no. That's not the point. The point is for you to walk out those doors and practice what you just practiced here in real time. When somebody pisses you off, when you lose your job, when your partner leaves you, when your child gets into some really bad shit, you know, like or you're in traffic, you know, whatever it is, you take all this with you. It's not meant to stay here. This is where you get to practice. Because again, back to this whole thing of like, once it's real, right? Like when I have been able to create stillness within me at, you know, a sound bath, I'm just going to use that as an example. That now is real. That now has become a reality in my body. And that means I get to recreate it again when I'm in a really tough situation, when I want to react to a family member, you know, whatever it is. You get to create this again. So yes, it starts in our mind and we have these visions and we want all these things, and then it happens and then you're like, "Oh shit, like it's real." Like it's real. Like I can do this. Like I can, you know, recreate our whole business model so that it's affordable and accessible. Oh wait, I can do sound baths, and oh wait, I can do them in Spanish. You know, it's just like all these little things that you, or I can show up and tell stories in front of people, you know, like all the things, right? But you have to have that strong core belief in ourselves, and I think we didn't really get to hear much of that. Like you couldn't kind of like deviate out of what your role was that you had to be. And so I personally have been relearning that, you know, it's like I can do whatever I want. Like I can create whatever I want. You know, I keep telling Angel I have like this dream position job, however you want to call it, of like storytelling. And he's like, what is it gonna look like? Or where is it gonna be? I was like, I don't know. I'm creating it in my mind right now, and it's gonna happen. Yes. I just know I want this, and that.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I love it. I love all of it. And because we have to speak it into existence. I mean, as you mentioned, that growing up in communities that where we come from, so much of success was measured by stability and how much we can just support family and support ourselves, having a good job, not a career, a job, right? And not being exposed to other possibilities outside of our barrios, our, you know, primos and primas on what we define as a good job, you know, with benefits, etc. Never were we told, I mean, I'm speaking from my experience, was to go create, go be innovative, go dream. I remember vividly, I remember I wanted to major in zoology.
Wow.
I wanted to major, and this was as early, I don't know how I discovered it, as a elementary school. I didn't even know what college was. I was a first generation college student. I did not know that college, what even that meant. But I knew what zoology was because it was a connection to my abuelo. My tata and I would always watch Discovery Channel type of documentaries about animals, and I loved it.
Wow.
Absolutely loved it because it was my connection to him. And we watched these documentaries and learned and loved learning about this stuff. But it took one just dream pressure in high school to say, that's not a real career. An administrator, a high school administrator, like, what? Oh, okay. I guess you're the expert. I guess that's not what I'm supposed to do. And there went that dream. But why couldn't my family give me that possibility of no, mijo, it's okay, a dream. Go get it. Go do it. Because they didn't know what that was about. They did not know what college was. They did not know outside of a blue collar type of work job. So, what do you need to do that? How do you get that? How do you even pursue it? So I love the fact that you said, you know, we have to create these spaces to be innovative, to create, to expose our young people to the possibilities. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough, that you all are doing it. You all are doing this for your babies. You're doing it for your familia, you know, even though you are the other the weird ones of the family.
What's funny is that when you're talking right now, it's so funny because there's a lot that I shared in my story that I told last night that keeps coming up today. But I was talking about how I believe that when I grow up, I'm gonna be a mom. I'm gonna be a wife and a mom. Like that's all I knew. I didn't know anything about college either. That was not even on my radar. Like not at all. It wasn't until literally I was told, hey, you have a full ride scholarship to go to college. And then I was like, what? Like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know what to do with that. And, my parents didn't obviously know, what that looked like or anything, right? And I literally did not know what to study. And when I was like looking at the book of different majors, I picked family and human development because I'm like, I want to have a family. And that's what I'm supposed to be as a mom and a wife, But like exactly what you said. It is about creating stability. Don't ever be without money because that is number one. And oh my gosh, I understand now, like because I've been able to get a few stories. I mean, like I've kind of interviewed my dad a little bit of his upbringing and what it was like and everything for him. I understand even more where that came from, right? He was so young and having to like go work for money to have his own clothes, and provide for his family, and he was such a young age, right? Of course, his drive was to never, ever have his children ever go without money. And oh my gosh, he did it. He absolutely did it. He started in the fields. He became I don't even know what his full title was, but he was managing 900 employees by the time he retired. And I'm just going to add this real quick. When he retired, they needed to hire like 4 or 5 people to do what he was doing. Well, that's a whole, anyway. But yeah, I'm all, well, that to say that he did what he came here to do, like that was his mission, right? He's like, I am going to provide for my family. And he has even helped us even now. And I'm just like, holy cow, right? Like that does not diminish like his goal and his mind, right? Like
right.
what he wanted to do. And I say that because for me, I've battled with that, because when I was a child, I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be in movies so bad, so bad. I would always like to imagine this like camera following me around all the time. I loved it. and when I got introduced to storytelling, and I thought, oh my gosh, like how cool would it be to be like on these huge stages and like to be, speaking and storytelling. And I thought, no, like immediately I shut that off because I was like, don't like, that's not, a real profession. Like, no, just do it for fun, and like, that's it. And I have been slowly reclaiming that. And I speak it in front of my children and I say, I'm going to be on big stages and I'm going to be talking. And they even like both drew a picture of me on a stage with all these little stick figure people. And then I have like a bubble and it says once upon a time. It's really cute. But I knew I had to speak it out loud, not just for me, but for them. So that they knew, mom, here's mom, she's 37 years old and she has a dream to, speak on stages, right? And yes, do I want stability in my life? Do I want wealth? I want all those things, And at the same time, we're in this new generation where we get to see like, what if I try to pursue my dreams and I get to be a creator? And what if I also can receive money? Like it's a wild concept. It really is, but I really, there's a lot of work that we're doing with like our generational trauma and and what we were told we had to do and all the things, but yeah, it's work.
It is work. And I want to add for the listeners and viewers out there, Nery is doing it. She's speaking on stages.
No.
She is doing it. She put it and spoke it into existence. I've seen your clips. I've seen your social media presence. You are out there speaking on stage. So your babies are seeing this.
Yeah.
They drew this picture of you. Yes, once upon a time. I think you added that maybe. A little influence there as mommy. But they see you speaking on stages. You spoke it and you are doing it. Again, you are doing the damn thing. Yes.
Thank you.
And I want to ask you this, a few more questions that I have for you.
Yeah.
What words of wisdom because you're dropping some major, major wisdom to our listeners and our viewers out there. What words of wisdom do you have for gente that have not began their wellness journey? What would you like to tell them?
Hmm. My biggest thing always is don't look at what other people are doing
Mm,
because it's already in you. So like if you're feeling called, you're like I feel like there's just like something deeper that I want to know or that I want to heal. I always like to say if there is something that calls to you, so that's where you have to like listen, right? You have to
mhm.
practice that listening. But if there's something that's calling you, even if it's like something random, like, oh, I'm gonna join this adult like volleyball league. I don't even know, right? Like I don't even know what it is. That was super random. But listen to what is calling you because that's where you're probably gonna be doing your most healing. Like you already know. If you look at like, oh, for Angel, for example, for him it was a breathwork session. That's what opened him up. If you're like, oh, well, then that means I need to do that because that's what he did. Like, that's what I mean by like not looking elsewhere. But like, if you want to begin here. Start like listening to like, what is it that you're kind of being drawn to? And if it scares you, good, good, because it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's meant to be uncomfortable because when you're stirring things up and you're revealing some things about you that are maybe are hard to sit with, good, because there will never be any change if you don't get to see what's there, to work with. But I always say, like, you're gonna know what is calling you because you are not like anybody else. So if this random crazy thing that is calling you rock climbing, I don't know why I'm saying all these random things, but like, or you want to go to like a drumming circle or like, whatever it is that's calling you, there is some inner wisdom that is speaking out for you, and there's going to be medicine there for you. That would probably be my biggest thing is try not to look at what other people are doing. When you see that somebody is going through, their own healing journey and it's calling to you and you're like, I want that. Great. Like it's speaking. It's that confirmation, right? You're like,
That's
okay,
right.
it's in you. It's in you. Like it's coming. It's coming. Like
It is.
it's
That's
there.
right.
But listen to what your medicine is, what you need for
Amen.
you.
Amen. Amen. And I am still trying to understand. Thank you for sharing that, Amanda, because my healing journey began from a walk that I need to get the hell out of my
Hmm.
house. I was in a very dark space, as I've shared with this time and time again about my own journey, that I just needed to get outside and to listen to my music. And
Hmm.
never, ever in my wildest dreams that I said I was going to become a runner, that I was going
Hmm.
to be taking this first step in my wellness journey, my walking that I knew was going to turn into running one day. Not at all. And I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot understand, have been able to pinpoint why I started running the day that I started running. I love it.
Wow.
I cannot
Wow.
imagine my life without it. I cannot. And you know me well enough than hearing from me time and time again
Yeah.
about running. Pero I do not know what came
Mm,
over me that day in
mm,
Washington D.C. that this walk turned into a run. It wasn't from one day to the next. It was over time. It was over a significant amount of time for me that I was loving the space of walking and being outside and doing my own what I thought was breath work at the time, but being in
yeah.
my music, being in my space of being, just
Mm,
being. But that one day, I do not. Again, I need to do some real deep reflection on
mm.
why that walk turned into a run, and now
I,
I.
and now it's here. It's yours, you know.
It is. It's my
I
medicine. It's my
yeah, your
medicine.
medicine. Yes, yes, movement is medicina. I do believe that I don't even know how to explain it. That there is a time for everyone where I don't want to say ready. I don't like to say that. But where you will get to listen clearly. But things have to
Yes.
happen before
Amen.
that.
Amen. That's right.
So, sometimes I get impatient. I'm like, I want to be a well-known storyteller already, right? And this last year, I took a break from taking classes. I hadn't really done much telling on stages, and I'm so grateful for that break. I'm so grateful. I have been able to sit more with my intentions with it, the things that I want to work on. I'm almost revisiting it with a new eye, and I'm like, I do believe that, if you want to say like ready, but like if you okay, now I'm kind of going off something else, but um it's already done. It's already done.
Mm-hmm.
However, we won't know when, right? And I believe that things, like almost like a puzzle, things do have to kind of shift and move in place for us to have the clarity that we need at any given moment for us to know. Like in that moment, you knew, like you didn't need to know why or how or anything, but you knew, like,
Yep.
and so that's why I say ready, but like you were ready for that. You were ready for that invitation to accept it. Because when we ask for things and it's not our time, if you will, we might not be able to look at the invitation. In fact, we might like look away. And
Right.
so I've learned to just trust that the invitation will come when it's time, when it's my time, because I refuse to rush now, although I'm excited for when all the things happen, right? But I refuse to rush
Yeah.
because I don't want to live in that way and denying what growth or experiences I need to have to truly cherish what I'm calling in.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
do believe like we have our own timing.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate that because yeah, I was invited. I didn't believe that there was a specific ready factor to it for me. It presented itself and it felt amazing. Felt
Mm.
amazing the day
And
that
look
it
at
took.
what you've accomplished since then. All the running. Oh my gosh.
Locura, I tell you, it's locura. It is. It is. It's amazing. It's
It's
amazing. Definitely
incredible.
blessed to do this. So I want to ask you this. I want to ask
Mhm.
you this. You've been rocking and supporting Movement Es Medicina since its inception. We go back some years now, and I want to ask you what comes to mind when you hear, as well as see, Movement Es Medicina. What comes to mind for you?
Freedom. To be free to to freely express through our bodies. These are our homes, while we're on this earth. Our body is our home.
Mhm.
And so to truly be free in our body
Mhm.
and express ourselves fully, that is our medicine. And that is what will ultimately give us freedom.
Love it, freedom. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
As you know, I have asked my previous guest to give me a question for my next guest. They have no idea who is going to be. They may or may not know you. I just asked them, give me a question that you would like me to ask my next guest. So here it is. Might be a shocker, but I know you're ready for this. And I believe you already spoke to this a bit. I do.
Mm,
I believe you spoke to this. So here it is. What is your go-to mantra when times get tough? Your go-to mantra.
mm, hmm. Immediately, what I thought of is like a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
um, and not so much words, which is interesting. But yes, you can. Sí se
Se
puede. I
puede?
mean, really, like,
Yeah.
but I immediately, when you said that, I thought of, I was invited to do storytelling slash speaking one time at a fundraiser, and it was the first time that I had ever done that, right?
Okay.
And I was terrified because I had never done that. And of course, it's like those questions like, can I do this? Like, who am I? Like, are they sure they want me? All these things, right? And I'm walking up to the place, and immediately it's like I wanted to like run away. I wanted to run away so bad. And then I didn't know what to do because I was like standing in front of it. And so I kneeled down to the ground. I think I technically probably needed to be grounded. It's probably what I needed. And I
Right.
went down to the ground, and I just kind of closed my eyes for a second, and I like talked to myself like if I was a little girl, and I was like, you can do it, baby girl. Like you can do it. And and then I got up And I walked straight in there and I did it, you know, but it's just
Wow.
this like, you know, going back to like, I think my mantra, if you will, is like going back to the little girl and telling her,
Yeah,
you can do it. You can do it.
that's right. Sí se puede. It's one of my go-tos as well. So I appreciate that. It is a powerful statement. Yes, we can. Sí se puede. 100% agree with you on that. I say that time and time again, just as a reminder when things are tough, but also as a North Star, if you will, for lack of better words, to guide me. So one last
Yeah.
question. On the flip side, I
Mm-hmm.
have for you. Give me a question for my next guest. You don't know who they're going to be. You don't know who it is. You have no you don't know that individual, but give me a question that focuses on wellness, mental health, or fitness for them.
What is something that almost broke you but didn't, and you're so grateful it almost broke you?
That almost broke you. I love it. And you're
It
grateful
might be
that.
a little deep. I don't know.
No, I love it. No, that's the point.
Okay.
That's the point.
I just feel like every time something almost breaks me or it feels like it breaks me, I come out of it so much stronger. And
Yes,
like that's
yes,
what
eso,
like
eso,
I immediately
eso.
thought of.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. I love it. Hermana, muchísimas gracias. Nery Martinez, I am grateful for you.
Mm,
You're a blessing. You're sacred. I appreciate your time and constantly inspired by what you and Angel are doing over there at the Healing Tree Collective. I love you all dearly. I'm rooting for you all. I cannot thank you enough for joining us on the Movement Es Medicina podcast. Before we wrap
thank
up, where
you.
can people where can gente
Oh,
find you? Where
well,
can they find you all?
yes, I just want to say quickly thank you. Your knowledge, your education, your power, your passions. Thank you. You are the people that we need to step up. So thank you for stepping up. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Gracias.
The Healing Tree, I'm mostly on Instagram. Trying to work my way to LinkedIn. But I'm mostly on Instagram. So the Healing Tree is at the Healing Tree Collective on Instagram. On Instagram, actually, we're everywhere. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We're on Facebook, YouTube. And then for me personally, Instagram is where I'm mostly at right now. And it's at nereida.martin. No easy, because you know it ain't easy. No, I'm just kidding.
Love
Oh,
it.
I
I
never
love
thought of that,
it.
but no, I just couldn't use my whole last name. So we cut off the last two letters.
I love it. Stick to it. Continue to say it. It ain't easy. It's
Because
not
it
easy.
ain't
It
easy.
ain't easy. It's not easy. I love it. I love it. Hermana, muchísimas gracias.
Oh,
Again,
gracias,
this is
Mark. We love
amazing.
you.
We love you as well. Mi gente, remember, recognize your dopeness. Recognize your
Yes.
dopeness, mi gente. I believe that we are all dope educated individuals. Like this episode, ask us questions, send us DMs, give us feedback. Follow me. Follow me at SuperMarkRock on IG, as well as Movement Es Medicina on IG, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcast. Mi gente, muchísimas gracias. Paz y luz.